Hi everyone, I'm Xinxu Li, and my partner is Weitao Huang. Our group will summarize the article named The Relationship Between the University EFL Teachers' Oral Feedback Beliefs and Practices and the Impact of the Individual Differences. We divide our presentation into two parts. I will introduce the research background, motivation, gap, questions, and methodology in the part 1. Let's move on to the research background. Firstly, we need to know what is the corrective feedback. It refers to providing the correct or suggestive feedback when there has an error in the form or meaning of the target language. Many teachers see linguistic errors as a tool to facilitate the development of the SLA because it not only gives the students a template for error correction and even improves their self-editing skills, but also gives the teachers more opportunities to communicate with students and reflect or improve their teaching modes when providing CF. So, the process of providing CF involves the teacher's beliefs about the linguistic errors and how they deal with these errors. However, some previous research about the teacher's beliefs and practice towards the OCF showed inconsistencies between teachers' beliefs and practices for whether providing OCF to students in the classroom teaching. Compared to the previous study, only Jerkins Weiss investigated the Spanish teachers, and Jun Correa and Kim studied the English teachers in English-speaking countries. So, this study found that few researchers focused on the EFL teachers. Therefore, the researchers were motivated by the former two pieces of researches and previous studies. Then they aimed to investigate the relationships between the university EFL teachers' oral feedback, beliefs, and practices with the individual differences. In addition, the researchers adopted three individual differences. They are the educational background, special training, and teaching experience. According to the research motivation and gap, the study put forward three research questions. First, what are the beliefs and practices of EFL teachers regarding OCF? Then, what is the relationship between EFL teachers' beliefs and in-text practice in terms of effectiveness, focus, and the timing of the OCF? Third, what impact of the individual differences on the teachers' OCF beliefs and practices? After answering these questions, the study's results will show whether the teacher's belief and practice for OCF in the classroom are consistent, and if not, which individual differences are responsible for these inconsistencies. The results of the research will inspire future teachers, especially novice teachers, to reflect and adjust their teaching ways of OCF. For the methodology part, the study was conducted at the intensive English schools of two private universities in Turkey, where English is taught as a foreign language. The researchers invited 60 teachers, 51 of whom agreed to participate in the experiment. So there were 51 participants in total. The participants were divided into 6 categories according to how many years they taught English, whether they received the professional OCF special training classes, and whether they had ELT background. After that, the researchers collected the data twice. First, the researchers recorded the teacher speaking class on video 3 times for 153 hours. All of the OCF episodes in the video were transcribed verbatim and coded. Second, the researchers gave the participants a task with 10 questions about hypothetical OCF scenarios to examine their beliefs. The task is the instrument of this research. Besides, the researchers used the Hedroxen's 5 aspects of the error correction to code the teacher's beliefs and practices, then used the else comprehensive categorization of the implicit and explicit feedback to define the types of the OCF. In sum, the researchers used the qualitative data from the task answer and quantitative data from the verbatim and coded speaking content to analysis.
Hello everyone, I'm Weitao and I'm gonna continue with the section of results and interpretation. The research question 1 was to identify teachers' OCF beliefs and practices concerning the 8 aspects of oral corrective feedback. Viewing their beliefs and practices separately, the importance of oral corrective feedback was rated at about 52% on average. At the same time, teachers use OCF practically on more than 54%. In addition, from the dimension of practices, teachers tend to provide immediate and implicit oral corrective feedback according to the learner's grammatical, lexical errors, and errors on pronunciation. As for the consistency, teachers' beliefs and practices were consistent in terms of the 8 OCF aspects, while the highest mean difference happens from the aspects of immediate and delay feedback, as you can see the orange index in the table, and on the contrary, the lowest occurs in the section of pronunciation, that is the blue index. The second research question intended to find out the relationship between teachers' OCF beliefs and practices by using a correlation analysis. The findings indicated there is both consistency and inconsistency. In detail, the significant relationships were found in the aspects of perceived effectiveness, implicit and explicit OCF focus on learners' grammatical errors. In contrast, on learners' phonological errors, lexical errors, and the timing of oral corrective feedback, there are only inconsistencies. Research question 3 was to find out the relationship between teachers' beliefs and practices in terms of 3 individual differences: educational backgrounds, special training, and teaching experience. Descriptive analysis showed that there was both consistency and inconsistency between what teachers' beliefs and practice in terms of the 8 aspects. The result is ELT or non-ELT teachers' beliefs and practices are similar. As for the correlation analysis, literally indicated there is no significant relationship for either ELT or non-ELT teachers in most of these aspects. Significant relationships can be only found from non-ELT teachers concerning grammatical and phonological errors, and there is not any significant relationships for the ELT teachers. So we can conclude that educational backgrounds did not impact on the relationship between teachers' OCF beliefs and practices. Special training, the table below reviews similar beliefs and practices in terms of whether teachers receive special training or not. The results of this descriptive analysis is similar to the ones from the last factor of educational backgrounds. And as well, the relationship between beliefs and practices was not consistent for most of the aspects, according to special training. Significant relationships can also be found, but just a few. That is, oral corrective feedback for lexical errors in the special training group, and grammatical error treatments for both special training and non-special training group. Different from educational backgrounds and special training, teaching experience has been demonstrated that has more effect on learners or on teachers' OCF beliefs and practices. And it was also indicated that being experienced teachers would improve this consistency. The mean scores of experienced teachers are more consistent than less experienced teachers, according to the OCF beliefs and practices with consideration of the 8 aspects. The correlation analysis also revealed that experienced teachers maintain more similar and consistent OCF beliefs and practices. Significant relationships were found for experienced EFL teachers, including perceived effectiveness, implicit and explicit feedback, grammatical, lexical, phonological errors. There is no consistency from the aspect of timing of OCF for experienced teachers, but for less experienced teachers, all the aspects reveal no significant correlation. And to summarize, according to the results mentioned before, this study showed a consistency in the relation between EFL teachers' beliefs and practices of oral corrective feedback in terms of perceived effectiveness, grammatical errors, implicit and explicit corrective feedback. However, inconsistency also indicated regarding lexical and phonological errors and the timing of oral corrective feedback. The results also demonstrated that teaching experience is the only predictor among the three individual differences in this research and had a significant impact on teachers' beliefs and practices of oral corrective feedback. As for the limitation, the first one concerns specifically on collecting teachers' beliefs. By using the instruments of asking for self-reported responses to specific questions, teachers might provide the beliefs based on what they think they would do in a real teaching context, which might be different from their actual beliefs, so that it won't be authentic. So in the future research, if using the same scales as this study, teachers' explanations for the answers is necessary to be taken into account. And secondly, the questionnaire of this study combined closed-ended items and open-ended items, which will lead to lack of reliability measurements. Thirdly, that is the coding difference, such as the factor of teaching experience. The definition on an experienced teacher is different according to different people. In other words, different research findings can be caused by different construct coding. Lastly, this study only considered if practices are in accordance with beliefs but without proposing the effectiveness of those practices. So, as a result, the authors suggested that having similar or diverse beliefs and practice might be either good or bad, and under the circumstances, while without any consideration of context and aims. As for the part of critique, we get started with strength. And this article directly pointed out the existed research gaps after reviewing the relevant researches. As for the fulfillment, the author indicated the findings and proposes similarities and differences compared to the previous findings. In terms of research question proposition, the present study considered regarding the research gaps and factors of previous research. And then the author provided some more pertinent research questions. Additionally, this study produced significant findings with consideration of teachers' individual differences, especially from the aspect of teaching experience, which has been demonstrated to have deep influence on OCF beliefs and practices. And critically, this study contained also weaknesses from the dimension of research design. And we can find that according to the appendix, the tasks used for collecting beliefs involve items that only require teachers to rate without description. Furthermore, this study showed only teachers' proportion of using oral corrective feedback but didn't present classroom data such as practical effectiveness of the oral corrective feedback. So lastly, here is our discussion question. So based on your experience and context, which kind of OCF is the most effective to provide to your students in your future teaching? Is that implicit or explicit oral corrective feedback, or immediate or delayed oral corrective feedback? So this is the end of our presentation. I hope you enjoy it and see you next time.